Turn on that radio and back here. The cops ain't likely to catch up with us, not tonight. So we can all be quiet and peaceable and listen to the music.
It's time to turn off that, and it's time to turn up the volume and listen to Auto Dealer Live.
Repeat after me.
Auto Dealer Live.
All right, we're here live, 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'm your host, David Villa, and you are listening to Auto Dealer Live. We are so fired up. First of all, I'm fired up, man, because I actually wear a sweater. I don't have to wear shorts. Man, it's been like 80 degrees down here, Martin. I mean, I'm just like it's June or something.
Yeah.
And I'm fired up for the fact that we actually have some semblance of a winter. But more than that, man, if it's cold, and I know some of the U.S., man, it's been like in the single digits. Get ready because we have something that's going to heat you up today. It's gonna fire you up. Car dealers, I'm going to tell you, we have had flat out, period, the most buzz, the most feedback, the most questions, the most interest. I mean, just expectation has been through the roof, more so than anybody. I mean, we've interviewed some phenomenal guys, but I'm going to tell you something. There's something about the gentleman that's going to be joining us today. This guy needs really no introduction when we bring him on in a few minutes, but we're going to give him one. But I'm going to tell you that I have not, in my humbly 17 years in the auto business, I have not seen anybody that creates such an absolute buzz around him. They want to know what he's saying. They want to know where he's at, what's going on. If there's anyone that has their pulse truly, Martin, on the automotive business neck, it is Jim Ziegler. And so I am so excited about what Jim has to say. And one of the things I'm so excited about, and I think it's really just a testament to who he is. He doesn't back down from anything. I mean, he throws things out there that really other people are run from, and to me, that's true integrity and character.
Absolutely.
So I can't say enough about my opinion of what I know about Jim Ziegler, but you judge for yourself. Those of you obviously that don't know him, which I don't think there's very many that don't. But we're going to be bringing Jim on shortly. But get ready, buckle your seatbelt, grab something to ride on, because the Alpha Dog is in the house.
It's about to go down.
It's about to go down. So in just a few minutes, we're going to bring him on. But I wanted to bring up something that every week we kind of start off with a little bit of banter, a little talk, and we've been talking, Martin, to our sales team, and we've been talking to some sales teams that we have access to and train, and something that really I've been talking about that I think that is really important is salesmanship. Mm-hmm. You know that we've been part of this salesmanship. And Jason, do me a favor, man. Go out and grab that salesmanship sheet that you had earlier. I want to read something on there for a second. And actually, I wasn't planning on doing. It's Josh has it. It's a salesmanship sheet. But the deal is this, man. I think that this, and Jim's going to, I'm sure, jump on this in some way. We that have been in sales for a while, even if you're not in the car business, which I don't know why you'd be listening to Auto Dealer Live if you're not in the car business, but the bottom line is we are afraid, I think, of true salesmanship. And where have all the salesmen gone? I mean, where are these customer service, order taker, individuals that really honestly don't know sales from cable TV. They don't understand what they're doing. And so salesmanship is something that really I've been talking about. So taking a couple of minutes, I wanted to kind of go over a couple of things and that we've talked about, Martin, with some of our resources. And number one, salesmanship simply means the skill or art of selling. I know Jim's read this book, and he probably knows Tom, but Tom Hopkins wrote a book on the art of selling. And, I think sometimes we've forgotten that it's an art. I mean, where have all the salesmen gone? Salesmen, people, I said this, Martin, the other day. You remember when I talked about the fact that somebody asks you, a salesman, what they do for a living, and they say anything and everything other than sales. They're like, well, I'm the scientific, felicitation, of the, business development. No, you're a salesperson.
That's right.
I mean, you're a salesperson.
That's right.
And you know what? Understand that the number one income earners in the world are in sales.
Yep.
Okay, flat out, period. And so the art of selling. And so, we need to realize that attention is different than engage. And so kind of moving in that vein, and I'm going to move really quick here, and we're going to bring Jim on right after our break. But I want you to understand something, guys. You have to understand that before you can sell somebody as a salesman, you have to engage them. You have to engage them. We talk a lot about getting their attention, but we must do more than get the attention of the buyer. We must engage them. And you always hear about these intention getter techniques, but unless you succeed in engaging the buyer, you're never going to reap the fruit of gaining their attention. I want to say that one more time. You gain their attention, which you have to do first, but unless you and I succeed in engaging the buyer, we're never going to reap the fruit of gaining their attention. So sales success is the fruit, right, of selling deals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, a deal or deals is the fruit of an effective presentation with a decision maker. Mm-hmm. A true salesman understands that they can't pitch the person who doesn't make the decision. I think some people in maybe it's old school. It's called the power of the pen. I don't want to talk to anybody unless they can sign something.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Why? Why talk to somebody? He's not going to do or she's not going to do as good of a job that as I'm going to do on my product.
Yeah.
Okay, but we take the path of least resistance up front, and we don't realize that we're only prolonging the inevitable.
Well, you're wasting their time and yours.
Well, you're wasting, absolutely. Yeah, there you go. You're wasting their time and you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
But I can assure you, the path of least resistance or a resistance that you face up front from not being able to get the decision maker or taking your time or effort to get the decision maker on the phone or getting in front of them is far better than waiting to the end when you run into that mountain of trying to get somebody else to sell your product when they're not the decision maker. So a deal is the fruit of an effective presentation with a decision maker handled properly. So just real quick, 5 things I want to talk about there. Ask questions, overcome objections, discover expectations, create excitement, and gain buy-in. And before we go to a break, those 5 things go hand in hand. And the first one is the key. Sometimes, I know I am, as a salesperson, I have been afraid of asking questions. Mm-hmm. Why? Because I don't want to lose control. And I think that I'm going to lose control. But can I tell you something? If you're listening and you don't ask questions, you're already not in control. Yeah. But you know what? If you ask questions, don't be scared of that, because asking questions is the key. Then overcome their objections. Listen, they're going to have objections. And you know what, Jim? I'm sure Jim knows this. Obviously, this is something that you learn in Sales 101 a lot of times. But you know what? There's objections. There's the common and there's the average objection, but there's also a hidden objection. And that hidden objection, unless you uncover it, you can't close the deal. So overcome objections. Number 3, discover their expectations. I learned something last week, and I'll give credit to Sean Moffitt. He said something that really, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I never thought of that. But you know what? I've always said exceed expectations. Exceed expectations. No. How about this? How about discover what they are and just meet them?
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Instead of setting some lowball expectation. So number 4, create excitement. And I would challenge you and say that, you know what, you can't create excitement unless you believe in your product, unless you ask questions, unless you find out what their objections are and overcome them, and unless you discover their expectations. And number 5, you have to gain their buy-in.
Yeah.
These are just a little, hopefully this helped you, just a sidebar, because I cannot think of a better person to talk about true salesmanship. I think everything Jim talks about is going to come right back to being a real salesman. That's what I like about him, guys. He is in the car business. He's not trying to run from it. He believes in it. He knows what he does, and he does it well. And guess what? This guy's a true salesman, and he's not going to run from it.
That's right.
Right? Martin, we're going to go to a break in a minute, but right before we do, and we're going to bring Jim on, what's trending?
Auto lending outlook positive for 2014. Auto finance trends will remain positive in 2014, including easier access to credit for consumers, more leasing, and bigger loans. Honda bets big on small crossover, eyes turbo for U.S. Honda is ready to take a run at one of the auto industry's fastest growing segments in the United States, compact sporty crossovers. The Vezel, a small crossover based on Honda's redesigned Fit subcompact, goes on sale in Japan on the 20th and the second half of 2014 in the United States. Dealer news. Ford rolls out dealer training to its 7,500 global dealers. Ford is taking its dealership training program worldwide. It is part of the automaker's ongoing effort to improve customer service and increase buyer loyalty.
Wow. Well, I'm gonna put Jim on the spot in just a few minutes. We're going to talk about an article that raised some controversy, and I know this is trending as well. We're going to talk about can Lincoln survive, and also want to ask Jim about Ford's the projection of Ford stock. And I know that he'll get into this kind of stuff. You, Mr. Dealer, Mrs. Dealer, do not want to miss what's coming up next. We have the alpha dog, the man. This guy is the best in the business, period. End of discussion. Mr. Jim Ziegler is going to be with us in just a few minutes. Listen, call in. We have dealers already calling in here, and we're going to put you on park. We're going to try to bring you on with Jim in just a couple of minutes. 813-574-1820. 813-574-1820. Hashtag Auto Dealer Live. I want you to tweet us at Auto Dealer Live. Also, hashtag the alpha dog. All right, make sure you follow us, and we're excited about it. We're going to go to break. We'll be right back with the one and only Jim Ziegler. Stay tuned. Don't you go anywhere.
Fastest growing community of automotive dealers and industry professionals. Thank you for joining us on Auto Dealer Live with your host, David Villa. If you are interested in staying motivated or bringing your sales process to the next level, we have put together Team Impact Sales Training, a weekly training video series free of cost that is updated weekly on thedealerhub.com, the fastest growing community of automotive dealers and industry professionals. Thank you for joining us on Auto Dealer Live with your host, David Villa. If you are interested in staying motivated or bringing your sales process to the next level, we have put together Team Impact Sales Training, a weekly training video series free of cost that is updated weekly on thedealerhub.com, the fastest growing community of automotive dealers and industry professionals. Thank you for joining us.
We're back. Oh, we made a short commercial there because I want to give Mr. Jim Ziegler as much time as possible. We already have lines coming in parked, and I'm going to be bringing some guests on to ask questions. We have some dealers that are going to be calling in here, so I'm excited about hearing Jim, the alpha dog, the man in the raw, in the natural. Get ready. Listen, if you get offended or you're offended easily, you may not want to listen.
That's right. It's training day, baby.
Here you go. Listen, without much need for an introduction, I'm going to give him one anyway. Jim Ziegler. Mr. Jim Ziegler has been in the automotive industry for 37 years. And he has been recognized as an industry leader. He's a writer of 3 different, I'm going to ask him what they are, magazine columnist, professional speaker, and super performer. And that's the real deal there. As a record-setting manager with some of the top automotive dealerships in the country, nobody has hands-on experience rivaling his accomplishments in the retail auto industry. As a retail consultant working with manufacturers in more than 500 dealerships nationwide, Mr. Jim Ziegler is respected for his expertise internationally. This isn't just America. I mean, you got folks calling and wanting to know what's going on across the world. Since March of 1986, Jim Ziegler has done business with more than 15,000 dealerships nationwide and more than 100,000 dealers, managers, factory executives, and these folks, over 100,000, have attended Jim's automotive conferences and management seminars. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I am honored to have on the air with us live today, Mr. Jim Ziegler. Jim, thank you for being with us. Are you there, sir?
Oh, I'm excited. Let's get on with it, Dave. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Well, can I just throw it out there because, man, I've never seen a buzz created. You threw something out last week, and I just want to throw this out there because I know people value your opinion and your expertise here. Lincoln, what's going on? You threw an article out there, and it went viral. This thing just literally went across the internet. And I think the question was simple, man. It was like, can Lincoln survive? And I mean, people just were all over this thing. What's the deal there?
Well, honest to goodness, I grew up in the Ford network. I mean, in the 37 years, I was in the auto industry 10 years. I've been in this business 25 years. And quality was job one for years, and Lincoln has abandoned its core audience. I mean, I'm sorry that their cars have little to no identity. MKZ, MKT, what an abomination that son of a bitch is. I mean, it's amazing to me that they've got no brand identity. People don't even know what the models are. They got one model, MKZ, that's really a seller, and You know, how many versions of the Fusion can you revamp and stick on the market? They did away with the town car, which was their bread and butter, and
Right.
the delivery vehicle. I mean, every limousine in the country was a town car. I mean, all the police cars were Crown Victorias. They did away with their local market, and they went to a market that's untested. They're trying to be BMW, and believe me, they're not.
Mm-hmm. You said something, because I mean, I remember, man, the brand and really the character of the town car, and just how I mean, really that was a staple. I mean, what do you think they're trying to do, or what do you think are they trying? I mean, is somebody paying attention there, or what's going on?
Well, you know, I drove 9 town cars back to back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had 9 Lincolns back to back when I had a major contract with Ford Motor Company, and that was the glory days, the '90s, the late '80s. It was amazing to me. We had the Bill Blass edition.
Mm-hmm.
It was the face of luxury,
Right.
and they've lost the entire. They were selling more units than Cadillac at one point.
Right.
And now they've lost their persona. They've lost their marketing. Let me tell you what they're doing.
Okay.
They're actually selling their dealers. Now get this goofy-ass program where they're going to, the scent of luxury, the Lincoln Essence. They are selling their dealers a program where they're going to pump a scent into the showrooms that is the smell of luxury, like an aphrodisiac, to make customers buy those ugly son of a bitches.
That's funny, man. You got a lot of...
The smell of luxury, can you imagine?
Yeah.
We won't hit 1,000 with allergies go to the hospital.
So that's crazy, man. And so, I mean, and it's not working. I mean, and let me ask you a question, man. What kind of feedback were you getting? Were there anybody out there were there any guys that were like they were all over you say, "Hey, Jim, man, come on, put the cover back on it."
No, not at all. The Lincoln dealers, for the most part, agree with me, whether they're
Sure.
vocal about it or not.
Right.
You know, these guys put up the money. They jumped through all the hoops the factory put out there. They did everything they're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
New facilities. The factory has not done their part. Now let's preface this. I love Ford Motor Company.
Sure.
My background was Ford Motor Company. Ford Motor Company has been very good to me. I think Alan Mulally, Jim Farley, and Mark Fields, these are very competent executives. Farley's one of my better friends, so is Fields, and Mulally and I are on speed dial.
Right.
I mean, I'm not attacking them as, you know, there's no mean spirit here. No mean spirit at all.
Sure.
You know, this is truly tough love. What they're doing ain't working, ain't going to work, and any car person would know that. I mean,
What do you think the difference? I mean, and before we kind of move on, I know we have some guests that are lining up too, and I want to talk about the internet battle plan and some other things that you're doing. But I mean, just really quick, I mean, Ford obviously has done some things extremely right, especially back. You know, I know that you're a big fan back in the several years ago when they were, you know, pulled that maneuver and they didn't take a bailout and so forth. And you know, the CEO, former CEO Bowen, you know, I mean, they had some great. Now I heard, you know, I don't know. The rumor is that he was going to kind of take off from Microsoft. I don't know if that's true or not. But I mean, either way, is the eye just off the ball, or is that Lincoln just treated like a stepchild? Or I mean, because Ford and Lincoln, I mean, couldn't really be any different coming out from under the same family or same household. Would you agree with that? I mean,
I absolutely agree. But somehow they lost their way, and they abandoned their core audience because they were the seniors. Now, you know, the baby boomers, my generation, we're controlling $78 trillion of wealth. I mean,
right.
And they're chasing Generation Y, that mythological generation, you know, mostly living in mom and dad's basement playing Xbox all day.
Absolutely.
You know,
Right.
excuse me.
No,
You know,
you're not signing
they're
that.
going to save up their money and get a cosigner or get their next tattoo, and that's what they're chasing. You know.
Well, you know, absolutely. I can't agree with you more. And running from and hiding
Even
from.
the Generation X people are getting pissed at the Generation Y people.
That's right. Well, let me ask you this, man. Not only that, Jim. I mean, but I just heard the other day, and I mean, of course, you can't believe everything you hear. I mean, I heard it on Fox Business. They were talking about the Generation Y. Well, they're talking about not even needing cars. So I mean, you're isolating, trying to reach out to this demographic that, in some ways, at this point, doesn't even care about a vehicle per se, and you're isolating, like you said, not only the people who have the wealth, but people who are car people. I mean, they want to buy cars. I mean, they trade out of cars.
You're talking about the TiVo generation, the people that don't even watch your ads, for heaven's sake.
Right. That's another challenge altogether.
I could really go way off on that. Of course, don't ask me about the goofy ass things General Motors is doing. I mean, Ford is exceptional.
Right. Well, absolutely. Well, I mean, I know we can go on this all day long. I mean, let me ask you something here. We got a guest. We have Gordon Campbell has jumped on the phone here. I think Jason, is that who we have on? Yeah. We got him. Gordon Campbell on the phone here has a question for you. We're going to bring him on in a second, but let me ask you just real quick. You mentioned something about this generation. And did you hear that in a couple of days ago where the reports are that that these young individuals, these hipsters, I guess they call them or whatever, they're talking about not even really caring about car, and they were talking about getting away from what's made America great. We're a car people country. I mean, people love the cars and the look of cars and the feel of cars. And I mean, how are dealers? I mean, is that a challenge?
Don't worry about Generation Y. They will grow up to be us, just like Generation X did.
So priorities will change.
Yeah, of course they'll change. Their priorities will change. Their life will change, and then they'll be bitching about Generation W or whatever's next.
Right.
They're us. They're used car buyers. I mean, come on, get real.
Absolutely. Are you ready for a caller in, Jim?
I'm ready for anything.
All right, hold 1 second. I'm going to bring on Gordon. We have on the air Gordon Campbell with us. Gordon, you're on Auto Dealer Live, and Mr. Jim Ziegler's on the phone. Are you there, Gordon?
Yeah, Dave. Thanks for taking the call.
Hey, no problem. I appreciate you calling in, and thanks for listening. You have Jim Ziegler on the phone, and what's your question for him?
Greetings, Alpha Dog.
Hey, how do you do? What do you think of 200? I've lost 53 pounds. A lot of people thought that diet was Photoshop, but look. I mean, you thought I was anorexic, didn't you?
There you go.
You're looking good, Jim.
I'm 30 pounds.
I'm a huge fan of your candid approach.
Most people, Jim Ziegler, nobody's ever going to say I can take him or leave him.
It's refreshing, honestly, Jim. Be honest with you, man.
Isn't that?
Gordon, I appreciate you, Gordon.
Look, I got a question for you.
Please.
Do you think too many dealers or dealer groups have been hoodwinked to think they can't be profitable in new car sales because of the internet? And do you think there is still room for the value story, including features, functions, and benefits? Can we get back to the basics, Jim, or has the game really changed?
Gordon, the game hasn't changed. One thing about statistics is figures lie and liars figure.
Oh, wow. Say that again, Jim. Jim, say that one more time, man. Just so I can write that down if nothing else.
Figures lie and liars figure. And we've got a bunch of vendors who are actually selling us that they're going to take our money and lower our grosses, and we're going to smile about that. And they're presenting these bogus statistics that they authored to prove that you can't make a profit in today's world.
Wow.
You can make a profit. I'm consulting 98 corporations that own car dealerships right now. Some of the companies I work with own one dealership, some of them own 30. But they're all north of $2,500 a car front and back profit.
Nice.
There you go.
In today's market, you don't have to lie, cheat, sneak, deceive, or misrepresent to make a profit. Everything that David was talking about salesmanship earlier, it's all persuasion and finesse. You don't need to trick the customer, deceive the customer, pound the customer into submission. But you have one thing we lack in the car business today, these managers and these salesmen forgot to bring their personalities to work.
Wow.
That's right.
Nice.
These zombie sales forces, and dealers, you are at fault because you've lowered your pay plans, and when you pay peanuts, you get monkeys.
That's good. Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
Jim, we have someone else calling here. I'm gonna bring him on here.
Gordon, I love you. You're a great friend. I appreciate you.
All right.
Gordon,
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Actually,
Bye-bye.
thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
Bye-bye.
no problem. Jim, that's a good question. Before we bring his caller on, that's a great question. Why do so many dealers ask that question from a different perspective? I mean, they think the game has changed. So I love what you just said. Figures lie and liars figures. So I mean, why do so many people buy into that? So many dealer principals buy into those lies or buy into this fear factor. Why is that? I mean,
well, we've got vendors right now that are stealing your local market.
You talked about that.
I'd really like to talk about that sometime during this broadcast about how that's happening and why we've lost our local market because the vendors are stealing your turf and then selling it back to you. And they're selling your customers to your competitors.
Talk about that for a minute because we do have a minute because you wrote something on that a couple of months ago that I read, and we had a lot of comments on that on the Hub, and that was phenomenal. Talk about that for a second.
Google is the battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
Bing and Yahoo, they're in the game, but Bing is the major battlefield. Right? Google is the major battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
And if any dealer out there right now goes to Google and puts in three things,
right?
Put in your city, your manufacturer, and your model. Ford, Focus, Baltimore. And you will find out that the first thing that comes up organically will be something like Car Gurus or one of those people. And then you're going to see like 10 vendors in a row stealing your market. And when you click on those vendors, they're shipping your customers out of your market. They're not even Baltimore customers.
No. So
and where the hell?
So dealers getting hosed.
What dealers have got to do is take control of the homepage of Google in every model, every city, every
How's the accountability? Where's the accountability come in? I mean, because you're dealing with Google, some dealers like say, where do I even begin? So where do you think the average dealer needs to begin? Obviously, recognizing it, I guess, but where do they start to correct that? Because that's a big deal.
By paying attention. I was one of the major dealers in Cincinnati. I was on their site yesterday.
Right.
And I'm talking about a big chain of dealers in 3 states. And I did exactly what I just said. I pulled up Chevrolet, Tahoe, Cincinnati, and they weren't even on their own damn first page.
Wow.
I mean, all the vendors have stolen, and their competition has stolen their first page, and they weren't even aware of it. This is a good internet operation.
And so let me ask you this. I mean, and we have a guest call in. We'll pick him up here in a second. But, I mean, when it comes to SEO, because you hear this buzzword everybody throws out there, and I think that they bank on the fact of ignorance. But, I mean, so are there SEO companies that are just taking advantage of people taking their money and not really bringing results? I mean, is that something you feel is going on as well?
You know, the dealers have got to experiment, and I'm not going to recommend any one company over another.
Sure.
And by the way, there are some very good lead providers out there. I am not totally bashing the lead providers, but some of the lead providers have a 38% return, and some of them have a 3.8% return.
Wow.
You know, when you're paying a lead provider or you're paying an outside company, you need to find out. Don't let them sell you impressions.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole bunch of lead providers. We gave you X many impressions. I got your impressions right here. I want to know how many units we sold and how many leads converted.
That's awesome. I think we have
I got your impressions right here. You know, don't let these vendors sell you the smoke and mirrors when they're giving your same customer to 4 other dealers.
Absolutely. Well spoken.
They gave you the impression. They gave everybody else the impression.
And dealers need to hear this. If you're listening, guys, you need to hear this because you know what? You may be the dealer that's getting hosed or getting taken advantage of. And Jim, that's incredible. We have a guest that's calling in. We have Bobby Howard that's on the phone. He's at a dealership called Autoplex 2000. I'm going to bring Bobby Howard on here. He has a question for you. Hold one second. Bobby, you're on the phone with Jim Ziegler and Dave Villa and Auto Dealer Live. How you doing?
What do you say, guys? How you doing?
We're doing
having
wonderful.
a great day, Bobby. You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Where are you calling from? Autoplex 2000, Bobby. Where's your dealership located?
Right here in Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Ah, Lake Charles. Okay, great. What's your question for Jim?
I got a question for you, Bobby. Are the crawfish in?
Say again?
Are the crawfish in?
The crawfish are awesome. Have you had any?
If you had it, they're not in right now.
You're breaking up. I can hardly hear you.
Okay, I'm just asking, is the crawfish in? Are they good right now?
He says,
Oh, yeah, they're good.
How can I help you, Bobby? What you got in mind?
I don't know. I just wanted to touch base with you guys, see how the car business world was doing, man. What you got?
Well, I'll tell you what, I've been all over Lake Charles. I love your part of the country. I've been red fishing out there every once in a while.
Right?
yes.
But you know, the biggest thing I got to say to salespeople right now is to reach out in the community and generate your own business. Don't wait for an up to come through the door.
Can you hear that, Bobby?
I can't hear you got a bad connection.
Yeah, so a little noisy.
Looking up on me here.
Yep. Bobby, you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I'm there. I'm here, Jim. Bobby, can you hear us?
I think
Try again. Go ahead.
Bobby.
Bobby's on a cell phone in a bad place.
Yeah. Are you a little clearer now, Bobby?
It's kind of fake. Go ahead. I'm working with you. I'm here. I ain't letting you go.
No problem. Let me ask you this, Bobby. Can I set it up a little bit? You are what do you do there? Are you a GM at the dealership, general sales manager, dealer principal?
No, actually, I'm on the floor. I'm
Awesome,
on the
man.
pavement.
Awesome. So you're in the trenches there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Jim. I mean, Jim. Obviously, you know that I have the best. I have the utmost respect for a true car salesman. Don't you?
I love a true car salesman. I mean, that's what we live and breathe. I do it somewhere every month of my life. I'm in a dealership, working the desk, working the F&I department. I still do what I teach.
Absolutely. What do you think, Bobby? I mean, looking at it from the car business perspective, I mean, Jim obviously comes in and does training and has been doing this a long time. Where, from a car salesman, because there's a lot of salesmen that listen to the show. From your perspective, man, what do you think? What do you want to see change in the business, and what do you think that would help you succeed in 2014 in the auto industry in the sales arena?
I'm always succeeding, and it always gets better. I stay in tune. I like to know what's going on. I think really the turn on everything right now is it's the media. That's the talk right now. And yeah, you know where I stand right now. I'm on the on basically secondary financing. And what happens with me whenever you put yourself out there with the media, you know, Facebook, letting everybody know what you do, what you're about, what's going on. The more you put out, the more you have a chance for negative feedback. Okay, and I've had a lot of situations where customers have said, "I'll never buy from Auto Place 2000 again." They gouged my eyes out. You know, so you're right in front of everybody looking at that that blog, and you got to know how to handle it. You got to be able to put on a white glove and be able to take care of that customer without. You have to gain the customer in front of everybody. That takes a special touch. Not everybody can do it, and for me, and where I'm at, I get a lot of that, and it's so I got a lot of training with it. So I think that you got to be prepared. You put yourself out there, you got to be prepared for the negative, for the worst.
Well, man, I appreciate you calling in, Bobby. I'm going to let Jim talk a little bit about that, and man, I appreciate you listening, brother. We look forward to talking to you again soon.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you, man. Have a great weekend.
Bobby, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Jim, you got someone like Bobby that's on the floor out there, and I love the fact that he's taking time out of his day to listen to a show like this, because he's interested in getting better. And I mean, it's tough out there, man, in the automotive world, especially I know some guys, and maybe I'll ask you this question kind of along that line. I know some guys that are working for dealerships, and I won't mention names or anything, that you got a good salesmen or GSM that are working for dealer principals that maybe are not in more modern thinking. They're kind of still old school thinking, not willing to really open up the checkbook or do what it takes. And I mean, that's a tough position to be in, isn't it?
Salespeople have to invest in themselves. Number one.
Talk about that.
Number two, they've got to reach out in the community and generate their own business.
Wow.
I can walk out of virtually any dealership in the United States that's in any amount of population. If I'm not just strictly in Mayberry, if I'm in any amount of population whatsoever, I can walk out of your dealership 8 o'clock in the morning, not a Sunday, good weather, not a Sunday, not a holiday, and I'll sell a car to a stranger I met before the sun sets.
Wow. That's great. And that's you know what though that's an art, and that's you obviously you're made of something a little different. But Jim, you know something, I think anybody can do that if they apply the right techniques, and I think that's what you teach, isn't it? I mean, you teach
I
that.
can go to a tall building in any town and stay in an elevator all day, just going up and down, and I'll tell somebody that I met in the elevator a car.
Wow.
In a limited time, you have to do that.
That's strong. That's stronger than an acre of garlic, my friend. We got a guy calling in from Texas here. Hold on, let's see if we can grab him on. I think we have Michael McLaughlin here from Mercedes-Benz in Tyler, Texas. Hold on, we're going to bring Michael on. This is Auto Dealer Live. You're talking with Dave Villa and Jim Ziegler. Is this Michael McLaughlin?
Yes, it is.
Hey, Michael. Appreciate you calling in. You're calling in from Texas, Tyler, Texas, and you are what, general manager? What do you do there at the Mercedes store?
No, I'm a grunt like the guy from Lake Charles. I'm on the floor.
All right, man. Awesome. What's your question for Mr. Jim Ziegler?
Well, I told the screener that I was going to ask about following up with somebody that, when it's hard to get in touch with somebody, whether they've emailed in or something or called in or even come to the store and you just can't follow up with them right. They just don't answer the phone. But then I think that's the biggest question I wanted to do. And then I just wanted to echo what Jim just said about, you got to invest in yourself. I've done that over the last year and a half, and that's the biggest thing that helps my career is just realizing I need to invest in myself to be a better salesperson. And I had one other question for Jim, I guess, that he just mentioned too is, it doesn't matter what city you're in, you got to invest in yourself, but how do you promote yourself? What's the best way to promote yourself when the dealership's not promoting you? And that's it.
That's a pretty good question.
It is a good question.
Well, first of all, one thing I'm doing lately, I'm closing a lot of deals with telephone text. When you get a consumer on the telephone, if you could say to that consumer, would you mind if I texted you some information? If they say yes, you've got opt-in permission. And people, 98% of people will open a text message.
Okay.
I mean, you got to remember, the worst thing ever happened to car dealers was caller identification.
That's good.
And the biggest thing I said to salespeople in follow-up, they didn't want to marry you. They just bought a damn car from you. They don't want every time that you call a consumer, you're trying to sell them something, they start caller IDing you and tuning you out.
That's right.
It's okay to call people. So look, I don't have a business agenda for this call. I just called to see how you're doing. How's the car doing? And don't always be trying to sell every time you talk to the people, or they will completely tune you out.
So you're saying, Jim, I mean, instead of always being so obvious that, hey, there's something in it for me, but, serve the customer and take your time to actually invest and what, the sales or follow? Is that what you're saying?
Well, he's in a Highline dealership, and I work with a lot of Highline dealerships. And the finesse of a Highline customer even exceeds the finesse of a customer who's got 50% credit challenges. So when I diary every conversation. When I'm in my office, I will make 100 phone outbound calls a day.
Wow.
And I'm sitting there in my CRM, and if you told me that your wife was getting a promotion at work, and I speak to you 3 months from now, I'm going to ask you, hey, did Monica get that promotion?
Right.
And people think I'm a friggin' genius, but the truth of the matter is I'm just making meticulous notes on every little detail I find out about the people and everything that's interesting and important to them. I hope I'm making good sense.
So it's just so basically, Michael, does that make sense? I mean, it's really just going the extra mile, and just showing you care. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, it does. I mean, definitely, I like the fact of trying to make notes on everybody, but I don't make as good a notes as I should. So that definitely is a good thing.
Michael, it's a numbers game. Even the batters with the best record struck out more than they hit.
Right.
You got to keep swinging at it, and you got to keep the funnel filled with opportunities.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Mike, we got time for another question. Do you have anything else you want to ask or anything? I know that we have a couple minutes before our next caller here, or somebody looks like they're trying to get in now, but do you have another question for Jim?
No, I'm good right there. I just wanted to say that your previous caller from Lake Charles, that's where I was born and raised down there, so I did a lot of redfish and ate a lot of crawfish down there. It's a great place to grow up.
That's right.
I love Louisiana.
That's
And
awesome.
Texas.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Hey, Mike, I appreciate you calling in, man. You have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. Y'all have a Merry Christmas.
Hey, you too. Merry Christmas, brother. I mean, that was Mike McLaughlin at Mercedes-Benz in Tyler, Texas. Jim, is it a some people, I think sometimes people think there's such a big gap, between Highline and standard domestic or import. But I mean, reality is these, I know there's a price difference and there's a difference in somehow how they think. But I mean, really, honestly, I think the techniques that work, don't they?
Well, yeah, and it takes a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest number one reason deals are blown, the number one reason a salesperson or a sales manager blows a deal
right,
is fear of the numbers.
Wow.
Fear of the numbers and premature discussion of numbers and overqualifying the consumer. We qualify these people, and we're not qualifying them anymore. We're disqualifying them. We're trying to find out all the reasons why they can't buy and why they won't pay.
Wow. So that's and is that fear of numbers is that something you're seeing across the board in dealerships everywhere?
Well, down payment is very important in putting a car deal together. The overwhelming majority of consumers in all makes, models, high-line, low-line, import, domestic,
right,
the majority of consumers into the 80s of percentages are financing their vehicles. And, I know everybody up there is dealing with inverted equity upside down and when I talk about the profitability that the dealers I'm working with are getting,
right,
it all centers around getting cash down payment from the consumers. Consumers have the money.
Sure
We do a poor job of getting it. And we're doing them a disservice because we're causing them to have inverted equity and be buried in those cars longer than they should be because we didn't sell the car responsibly.
Wow. Well, not shifting major gears here, but I was reading in Auto Dealer Monthly, you had an article here for December, and it's a featured article, and I just wanted to ask you this, because it caught my attention, obviously.
You talk about the article Helter Skelter.
Helter Skelter, yeah, Helter Skelter. But
that article has gone industry viral.
You know what, it has, and it has, and I saw that here. But real quick, we got a caller calling in here, and I want to catch maybe one more caller, Jim. Let me just jump on this. Hold on here. Nope, we lost him there. But we had a tweet come in here. Looks like from Chris Saraceno. And I'm going to ask a question here. We had a caller come in. Maybe they'll call back. If you called in, we had a couple of callers call in and we couldn't get to. But the question from Chris Saraceno here, Jim, what are two automotive predictions you have for 2014? What are two automotive predictions you have for 2014?
First of all, General Motors' shop, click, and drive promotion is going to cause dealer rebellion like you've never seen. The manufacturer's going to mishandle it, which, excuse me. When I see a bunch of General Motors top executives, I look at the little clown car and all the little guys come out of it,
I love it.
They're going to try to sell cars directly to the consumer. Who's going to price these cars? What dealer is going to get the deals? General Motors is making an overt move on their dealers here, and it's not going to be well received.
Right.
That's my first prediction. The dealers are certainly going to buckle up. But when you talk about General Motors dealers, here's some people that have really done over the top. I mean, they've jumped through every minuscule hoop the manufacturer has put in front of them.
Right.
I mean, they've got what color their paper clips are. I mean, everything that, they're going through Disney training, for heaven's sake. I mean, these people haven't seen the ball since the kickoff. They're the Dallas Cowboys in the second half. It's unbelievable.
That's awesome.
I'm wearing my Tony Romo cologne right now. You wear it, the other guy scores.
It's not the Tony Romo.
Love that joke. Okay. That's my first prediction. The General Motors shop click and drive is going to fail miserably.
All right.
My second prediction is that I've started this thing with Lincoln, and the Lincoln dealers and the manufacturers are going to get together and come up with a new plan.
Nice.
I want to see Lincoln saved. Now, Cliff Banks, who is a pretty renowned, forecaster in the industry, one of my peers and one of my friends.
Right.
Cliff Banks thinks that as soon as Mullally leaves and goes to Microsoft,
right,
that Fields and Farley are going to put Lincoln to bed, and they're going. Mullally doesn't want killing Lincoln as part of his legacy. That's
right.
Cliff Banks. That's Cliff Banks's issue. I want to see Lincoln saved and prosper, but the current model lineup. Some fool put the name Town Car on that MKT, which is an abomination, which is a Frankenstein version of the Flex, which is also awful.
Right.
These people have not. They had cars that were highly profitable. Instead of phasing out the Town Car and transitioning into something else, they just chopped off everything that was working and went with a bunch of cars that aren't working. MKZ, MKT, MKC is coming out. They totally botched the MKZ launch, and they better not blow it with the MKC in the spring, or they're really going to have something to talk about.
So your prediction then is that, and that's great. I like that, man, because you know what? What I love about you, and we got a caller holding here, we'll bring him on, but what I love about you, Jim, is you're honest and you're true and you tell it how it is, but also you're a guy who sees it as half full, not half empty. You're not a guy that's sitting there dooming and glooming. You're saying, look, you know what? I believe these guys are going to get it together. That's American, man. You know what? I love that about Mr. Jim Ziegler. He is American, because America is about, the dream. So look, they're not going to
talk about that for a second.
Absolutely.
General Motors has shipped more jobs and more manufacturing to China and Mexico since they took the government bailout.
Right.
And I look for cars from China that start to be exported back to the United States, like Buicks. Mm-hmm. And that is an abomination. They took the government bailout and they're sending all the money and jobs out of the country.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's got to get. I mean, that's just that just drives me crazy, man. That's not cool, and that's not cool. We got a caller here. Let me grab somebody here real quick, Jim. See if we can catch somebody calling in, because their phones are blowing up here. This is Dave Villa and Auto Dealer Live, and you have Jim Ziegler on the phone. We have Jeff on the phone. Jeff Winheim.
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, Jeff. What's your question for Mr. Jim Ziegler?
Hey, Jim, what I was wondering is, I know I've seen you before talk on the Trues, egg car leads, things like that. What do you think their ramifications are going to be on the smaller 55 to 70 car a month new car dealerships giving away these cars at those true car prices?
Good question.
Well, True Car and I have sort of made up. I say sort of. I'm not in anybody's pocket. I'm certainly not in anybody's camp, but True Car is far from the worst of them out there right now. Mm-hmm. I see where Edmunds.com is issuing consumers an app now that they can go in your showroom and scan your barcode and find cheaper cars in the area that are similar. That certainly thrills me.
Oh, yeah.
So what I'm looking at right now is the race to the bottom. It's all coming out of the dealer's DMS. The real issue now is Jeff, correct?
Yes.
Jeff, the real issue is data. They can't. They're all advertising. Everyone, find out what other people paid.
Yeah.
Well, how do you know what other people paid if you didn't root through the dealer's computers? We are allowing vendors to go in our computers and take unlimited 30 fields of data that they don't need. What possible reason would a dealer have to give Edmunds.com data out of your DMS to buy their services? And I'm not just singling out Edmunds. There's quite a few dealers doing that. And if you look at your contracts, dealers have signed away the rights to own that data. We're selling customer information out of our computers, and these vendors are reselling it. Dadium Corporation recently got a major legal action. The state of New Jersey caught them red-handed selling data. I presume that appeared it was personally identifiable data that was illegal. They certainly settled that case. We got vendors taking data, and we don't know where it's going. A dealer signs up with your data. You are promising that consumer that you will not distribute their data elsewhere. Their information, you got privacy laws, and every dealer in the country is violating those privacy laws, allowing these renegade vendors to have access to your customer information.
What does that have to do with Granley-Bliley Act, right? I mean, it's you got a lot of issues with that and safeguard agreements. I mean, I agree with you. It's I tell you, it's not cool, and you're on that, and I love the fact that you're on that, man. You're watchdog here for dealerships. So you're not the dealerships that obviously everybody knows who you are, Jim, and but I mean, if a dealer's not spending their money or not investing in something that Jim offers, I think that you need to rethink it, because if I'm a dealer, and I'm not, but if I'm a dealer, I'm all over someone who's not only trying to enhance me and help me in sales and tell me, what I need to do and help my salespeople, but also someone who's looking out for things that other people don't care about, because there's not necessarily money in it for you. You just care about the industry.
Let's talk about TrueCar for a minute.
Okay.
2 years ago we as an industry, not just me, but I was sort of a catalyst.
Right.
We mounted a campaign, and TrueCar was doing a number of things that we objected to, and we voiced it. State associations got involved, the legislators got involved, and in many states they were considered to be brokering deals. And you know what? They lost a lot of business, but in the end, TrueCar made adjustments to become much more dealer-friendly.
Yeah.
Our campaign was never to put TrueCar out of business. Our campaign was to reform them.
Yep. That's awesome.
And they truthfully got religion. They really, really did. And if I were a dealer today, I would use TrueCar as one of my brands.
Absolutely. Well, go ahead.
So I didn't want to continue to say I'm not continually bashing, and I didn't go in with a mean spirit like we're going to bring these people out of business. No.
I don't think you did from the very beginning.
Carfax. I personally, now did I say personally? I personally despise Carfax. We're paying these people, and the little fox gets on TV and rats out the dishonest car salesman. Their whole thing is to take our money and slander our reputation. They make car salespeople look like fools and idiots, and if we're paying them to do that, and they're not accurate anyway.
That's right.
No, and now they're putting the adjusted value into the Carfax report.
So if I were a dealer and I buy Carfax, not on your life. There's more accurate reports out there that are less expensive, but they've done such a good job promoting themselves where the consumers believe they're the good guys, and they did it at the expense of making us look like the bad guys. I'm sick of vendors perpetuating negative stereotypes that no longer exist. Wow. I can find a dishonest car salesperson or dealership if I really look for one, but you know what? For the most part, we're honest, hard-working people. We're selling cars ethically, honestly. We're not beating these people into submission. We love our customers. We're emotionally and historically invested in our communities, and I'm sick of our vendors bashing us to lower our grosses and make a profit on our backs.
Amen. Well, Jim, I know that it's flown by here. We only have a couple of minutes, but I want to ask you something. Well, I want dealers to be able to get a hold of you here, because you've got a wealth of information to offer, and that they need to take advantage of from someone who truly cares. But I want to ask you this, and as you answer this question, segue into also how they can get a hold of you, what they need to do to reach out. I know you're all over the internet, but talk about the Internet Battle Plan.
I've got the InternetBattlePlan.com. Everybody, please write that down.
Say it again.
InternetBattlePlan.com. www.InternetBattlePlan.com. BATTLEPLAN. Battleplan.com. InternetBattlePlan.com. Coming up in January.
Okay.
If you are not satisfied with your internet sales and results or your technology marketing, I've got 21 top experts, including myself, on stage. This is the 15th time we've done it. It's in Atlanta. It's extremely reasonable, and you can call me direct. I take my phone calls. There's a lot of people that come in from the back of the stage and go out to the back of the stage. Elvis has left the building. That's not me. I'm in the crowd. I'll take your phone calls. I'd love to speak to you. I speak to 100 dealers a day sometimes.
Wow.
770-921-4440. 770-921-4440. I take my calls. InternetBattlePlan.com. Find me on any one of the social media. I've got 100,000 friends and followers on social media, especially Facebook.
Wow.
James A. Ziegler on Facebook. You can't friend me on Facebook because I've got 5,500, but I've got 3,000 or 4,000 people that subscribe to me. Same benefit. I've opened it up for everybody. You find me on Facebook or look at InternetBattlePlan.com. I'm out there.
And you're also active on Twitter as well, and that's at. Let's see, your Twitter handle, Jim. I know you got a couple of them. What's the
at Jim Ziegler? At Jim Ziegler.
Okay, at Jim Ziegler, and I love following you on Twitter. You not only tweet some amazing stuff out, but you're connected and you look out for the business, guys. This is a guy that you absolutely want to get plugged into what he's doing, and Jim, I appreciate you coming on. Do you got anything you want to add here in the last minute or so? I'm going to let you just close the show.
I just wish this could have been a 2-hour show. I think, I've got 3 computer screens in front of me, and 2 of them are lit up with people talking to me while I'm talking to you. It's amazing. We've got people all over this audience.
Will you come back? I mean, I'd love to. I just love to let you talk. I mean, come back and take another hour, and it's yours, man. Because I'm gonna tell you, it's not about Listen, it's not about just having someone on. I mean, I genuinely feel like, to me, you're my favorite out there. You absolutely have a lot to say, and I give and turn your material over to my guys. They read it, and I'm all over anything you put out there because it means something. So will you come back?
Well, you talked about weak salespeople.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is more, and I'm a management trainer. The problem is more weak managers.
Wow, there you go.
I mean, my gosh, grow yourself a pair and become a manager.
That's awesome. You know what? That's very much true.
They don't need any pals. They need people to develop them. I mean, they don't need any more friends. I mean, when I'm a manager, I tell salespeople, I hope you like me, but liking me is 100% optional, but respecting me is part of your job description.
Wow.
I will cause you to be a success.
Wow. I love that. Well, will you come back? Will you come back and spend another hour with us? I mean, can I?
I love this. I'll come back anytime you need me.
Man, I do appreciate that, Jim, and I will take you up on that because I know you have a lot to say, and this thing just flew by. We couldn't get to all the calls here as well, and we have to go. But I really do appreciate you coming on, and I will definitely get my guys to look at the calendar and get with you and see if I can get you back on.
Where can they find us in the archives?
What's that? They can find us.
Where can they archive this?
This is going to be, we're going to have this up on thedealerhub.com. This is also going to be up on YouTube. We're going to have this up this afternoon, but it's The Dealer Hub. Thank you for asking that. .com. And also you can follow us on Twitter at Auto Dealer Live, and we're going to have these up, Jim, and have it sent to you. I know you're going to be able to put it on your sites as well, but we're going to have this up and out before the end of the week, edited. And but thedealerhub.com, and then of course it's going to be on YouTube, and then we're going to put it on Ustream is airing right now, and also on Blog Talk.
It'll be archived on Ustream.
Archived on Ustream. Well. And when does that get archived on Ustream?
It'll be about 10 minutes after the show.
10 minutes after the show airs. Okay, and then we'll tweet those out to you. We'll tweet the links for Ustream as well, guys. And listen, your questions are coming in on Twitter. Again, I can't get to the calls. Our time is up, but hashtag Auto Dealer Live. Make sure you throw in there hashtag the Alpha Dog, so that way we know you're questioning and asking about Jim. 813-574-1820. We're still answering calls after and see if we can get some questions in and get it out there. I'm going to get my producer to get with me and get a calendar. We promise you, listeners, that we will work feverishly on getting Mr. Jim Ziegler back at his earliest convenience ASAP in 2014, so we can continue and listen to what's going on. And thank you, Jim. Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas and happy holidays, whichever applies both everybody out there.
Thank you, sir. Merry Christmas to you, and thank you very much. That was, guys, Jim Ziegler, and what an awesome guy, man. Straight to the point, and I can't wait to have him back on. I feel like I'm still hungry.
Yeah.
I feel like that I went to a restaurant, and the finest restaurant in town, and I'm still hungry, man. Everything was so good. We will work very hard as soon as we possibly can. Jason, I want you to see, man, if Jim, I don't know if he has it in his calendar, I'd love to have him back on in January, if possible, because he has more to say and we have more to hear. Our phones are blowing up, and we'd like to be able to get some more callers in, more questions. Tweet us with your questions, hashtag Auto Dealer Live. Follow us, email us at david@ipdmail.com. Call us and get your questions in, and we will reserve them. And when we get Jim back on, we will pick up where we left off. What do you say, Martin?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful weekend.
Go out with some Christmas music here.
Absolutely.
Man.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Next week, we will not be having a show. And then the following week, we will be playing the best of, and we will come back the 9th of January.
Yes.
We have Tony Provost is going to be with us, and we will work fiercely on getting Jim Ziegler back on in January. Thank you. This is Dave Villa. You've been listening to Auto Dealer Live. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.